Pokemon Horizon's new arc, Mega Voltage, is finally here, debuting with two back-to-back episodes, episode 90 and episode 91, reinforcing my initial assessment that this isn't just the beginning of a new arc, but also the start of a brand new chapter. After all, Pokemon Horizons itself began with two episodes airing simultaneously. Unfortunately though, Mega Voltage is off to a bad start, at least in my opinion. Like I alluded to in the post I made following the airing of episodes 90 and 91, I'm not exactly impressed by them. And I'm not alone in feeling this way, though I'm also in the minority. So why am I not impressed? Well, there are a few reasons. First, I feel that Liko got a reset, which is to say that I feel she was reverted to how she was when this series began. We, as in the community, used to joke about how Ash would get reset from series to series. Most notably when he went from defeating a mythical Pokemon and battling a legendary Pokemon to a draw at the end of the Diamond and Pearl series, to losing to a Snivy at the start of the next series, which was the Black and White series, of course. It seems that for all the leaps Pokemon Horizons has made when compared to previous series, in terms of how it handles things like letting main characters catch legendary Pokemon and allowing characters to age, it still hasn't done away with all the faults of the past. Starting from scratch in some senses doesn't mean that the characters themselves have to start from zero. Now, why do I feel that Liko got a reset? Well, throughout these two episodes, she's back to being unsure of herself. She once again lacks confidence. She doesn't know who she wants to be, or what she wants to do, or what she should be pursuing or striving for. She just looks and feels lost, hollow, empty, like she's just wandering around looking for a purpose. She's alive but not really living. The spark she had, her bright-eyed optimism, the confidence she gained after dozens of episodes are all gone. Now yes, I understand that she has gone through a lot. In episode 89, she had to see her great-great-grandfather vanish before her very eyes. She had to leave his precious Pokemon behind. She lost what little was left of him in terms of physical keepsakes. She had to withdraw her dear Pagogo, who, as we find out in these two episodes, has not left its Pokeball since that day. She had to witness the apparent demise of Friede and Charizard, who, as we learned in episode 91, Liko and company looked for tirelessly around the Kumuri Mountain to no avail, especially since the Exceed company locked the area down, which is another thing we learn in episode 91. As if all of this wasn't enough, Spinel had the Rising Bolt Tacklers take the fall for what happened in Laqua, so they ended up becoming villains in the eyes of the public. Something we learned in episode 89, and something that, as we find out in these two episodes, forced them to disband, which is why Liko went back to Indigo Academy. So she basically lost everything. Everyone dear to her is gone in one way or another, and since she fulfilled her goal of reaching Laqua, which was what drove her and pushed her to grow so much, she is now left without anything to chase. When you take all of this into account, it's no wonder it feels like she got a reset. It explains why she feels like the Liko from the beginning of this series. It also explains why she also feels unlike herself in that even her cheerful, positive demeanor is gone, replaced instead with an aloof and depressed demeanor. She feels distant and with her head in the clouds, not really invested in her current life. She might have lacked confidence before, but at least she never lacked a smile or the willingness to try. But now even that is gone, which is sad to see. However, even if I again do understand why she is like this now, I still think it feels jarring to suddenly have her do a 180 like this. It feels like dozens upon dozens of episodes of growth and development were thrown out the window, making it feel like they never happened. What was the point of the 89 episodes before these two if we are just going to go back to where we started on so many fronts? This honestly just feels wrong. That being said though, while I do have some misgivings, I also do have to commend the fact that Liko underwent such a transformation. Her being perfectly fine and the same as always would be unrealistic following everything she's been through. No matter how optimistic and courageous you might be, when life comes at you fast and hard, it's difficult not to spiral into a maelstrom of negative emotions that change who you are and how you act, even if only briefly. Liko's transformation, while jarring, does make sense. It's both fitting and realistic. Plus, it also adds weight to the story since it's clear that what happens in it is not inconsequential. The many twists and turns, all the important, crucial, and monumental turn of events do have an impact on the characters, influencing and affecting how they act, how they feel, what they do, etc., allowing the story to be that much more valuable and worth watching. This is in stark contrast to some of the previous series, where oftentimes something shocking or sad would happen and it only affected the characters in the episode that it happened. In the next episode, they were back to business as usual, like nothing happened, bringing into question if what happened was truly significant. Did it truly matter when the characters are not left with scars that linger for a while? This didn't happen all the time, of course, and even when it did, a flashback several episodes down the line could still make the pain that was there only momentarily resurface, thus adding more weight to what happened. But still, having the story affect the characters this profoundly, this significantly, is quite refreshing, serving as further proof of why the writing in this series is so much better than the one found in previous series. All that being said though, I do have to once again criticize Liko's drastic and sudden transformation because while it's only been one episode as of episode 90 and 2 episodes as of episode 91 since episode 89, it also has been an entire year since, and she still hasn't recovered. Now, I don't want to come across as insensitive by demanding that she pick herself back up instantly, but I still do have to wonder how, in a year, she hasn't been able to take back what she lost within herself, which makes her apparent reset and personality change all the more jarring. I'm conflicted truly, as I'm sure you can tell. I cannot decide if I love or hate this. Both is probably the right answer. Thankfully though, Liko does not stay like this for long thanks to her reunion with Roy and her subsequent battle with him. Which takes me to another thing I take issue with from these 2 episodes, the battles. We get 3 battles across these 2 episodes. Roy and Uruto versus a Laquium afflicted slacking, Roy versus Anne, and Roy versus Liko. The latter 2 are the ones I have a problem with. Why? Well, mostly because of the animation, which is largely simply atrocious. Like, wow, what the heck happened here? At some points, it felt like I was watching a slideshow, a PowerPoint presentation. That's how poorly animated these two battles are. Again, for the most part, like yeah, they feature a few moments that look decent, but these are the exception. Mostly they look incredibly janky and sloppy. Not to mention that they are quite slow, like I can almost count the frames. Now maybe they deliberately used the slow motion for dramatic effect, who knows? Regardless, the result is battles that feel awkward, weightless, and frankly unfinished. The pacing, which is horrible, is probably the main culprit behind how bad these battles feel and look. There's way too many static shots where Pokemon just look at each other or around them, several cutaways to less interesting things, and the sequences where it takes forever for actions to be completed. Did they blow their entire budget on episodes 86 through 89? This is honestly the worst animation I have seen in Horizons thus far. It doesn't help that the fight choreography is also predominantly quite awful, sluggish, predictable, and frankly boring. Roy vs. Anne was especially bad. Not that either of these battles had to be a grandiose, intense spectacle. After all, they are low-stakes, friendly battles. But they could have at least tried to give us something that was somewhat enjoyable to watch. Instead, we got something that is, well, embarrassing. They took a 2-week break between episode 89 and these two episodes, and I feel like they could have used a few more weeks. These two episodes, 91 especially, clearly needed some more time in the oven. Them choosing to release them both on the same day is likely, at least partially, to blame for such a drop in quality. One episode a week is taxing enough as it is. Two is just asking for stuff like this to happen, which is a shame. I don't know about you guys, but I prefer they take their time so they can deliver something good instead of rushing or over-delivering at the cost of quality. I mean, just look at this one shot of Roy. It's crazy that this got aired. Now, as usual, am I perhaps being a little too harsh and unreasonable? Maybe, but I don't think having at least a decent animation is too big of an ask. I can forgive dropping the ball on some things. Animation is not one of them. So are these two battles complete and utter failures? Well, no. I can offer one or two compliments at least for each battle. In episode 91, we learned that Anne wasn't exactly twiddling her thumbs for an entire year. Instead, she clearly put the time to good use since she is now significantly stronger. So much so, in fact, that Indigo Academy has officially recognized her skill to the point that she is part of the school's select team, who I assume are responsible for representing the school in battling competitions and such at a national and or international level. She has distinguished herself so much, in fact, that even Cyrano, the director of Blueberry Academy, which is known for Pokemon battling, reached out to her personally, potentially setting us up for a Blueberry Academy arc in the future, ? One where Anne gets to transfer over alongside Liko and friends, aiming to hone their skills. Perhaps that would be really cool. But anyways, Anne getting to battle Roy allows us to see her in action at her new skill level. Now yes, the poor quality and underwhelming nature of the battle don't really do her justice, which is a problem I have with both battles, since what little narrative or emotional value they had, namely Anne's impressive growth and Liko grappling with her complicated feelings respectively, was absolutely undone by the appalling animation, pacing, and direction. But hey, something is better than nothing, right? At least Anne got to show off, even if only briefly. Which is great, especially because it's revealed that both of her Pokemon evolved during the time skip. So this battle also allows us to see her Samurott in action for the first time. While Anne sadly doesn't get much screen time, I still like her, and thus I love getting to see how much she's improved and how hard she is working towards her dream. She is moving forward, which stands in stark contrast to Liko, who has been standing still instead, serving to highlight just how much she has changed after everything she's been through. It makes her drastic transformation that much more evident, which is honestly great writing. After all, the brighter the light, the bigger the shadow. The triumphs of one character highlight the failures of another. As for the other battle, by which I mean Liko versus Roy, well, I can praise the fact that Meowscarada honored both her title of magician and the name of her signature move Flower Trick during the battle by putting on a magical performance that tricked Crocalor several times. This is a creative and thematically fitting way for her to battle that was quite delightful to watch. And the same can be said for the clever ways in which she used her seemingly invisible threads, which allowed her to do things like seemingly make Crocalor levitate. Meowscarada made this battle ever so slightly less dull. Though of course, she couldn't save it completely. Not even having her and the Crocalor both terrastalized can salvage this mess, since what happens post-terrastal is basically as slow and boring as the rest of the battle. Moreover, I also don't like the fact that Liko loses. Now, don't get me wrong, I have nothing against Roy winning. But considering that the last time they faced each other, Liko also lost, I just feel that it's only fair that she got to win this time. Especially since while she still has the disadvantage in terms of typing, at least she now has the advantage in terms of evolutionary stage for the entire battle. And speaking of the last time they faced each other, that battle was way better than this latest one, which only makes it worse. It honestly feels like this is yet another way in which Liko was reset. We are back to her taking L after L, even though she should be way stronger now. Though of course, like Anne, Roy clearly didn't spend a year twiddling his thumbs. In fact, he reveals to Liko and Anne that he spent some time training in Kalos, hence why he has access to Mega Evolution. So there shouldn't be too big of a disparity between their skill levels, and any disparity likely favors Roy since he was deliberately training while Liko was only doing so passively as part of her education. Moreover, Liko not being herself means that she likely did not battle at her best for most of the battle. This is something that I can appreciate from a narrative point of view. Still, even if realistically Roy should win, I still hate seeing Liko lose. Though at least, like I stated earlier, the battle does allow her to regain her true self. Her courage, her optimism, her smile, and the motivation to move forward. Her time, which came to a stop a year ago, finally starts moving again. This is best exemplified by two things. First, her bravery when she proudly declares that she is a member of the Rising Bolt Tacklers in front of her schoolmates who referred to the Rising Bolt Tacklers as villains several times, proving that I was right when I said that they would be treated badly going forward, while also perfectly illustrating what awaits Liko and friends from now on. And the second, the fact that she decides to travel with Roy in order to get back the truth of the Rising Bolt Tacklers, which was stolen from them by the explorers. This is where episode 91 ends. Well, actually, it ends with Spinel saying, as he stands next to the heroes except Rayquaza who are being held within containment cells, that soon the world will kneel before them. We already saw this scene in episode 89 and I already commented on it in another video, so I won't do so again here. However, while this is where episode 91 ends, it's not where this review ends, since there is of course still one more battle I must discuss. Roy and Uruto versus Slacking, which happens in episode 90. Like I alluded to earlier, this is the only battle from these two episodes that I don't have a problem with. While it still has moments that are incredibly slow, as in it again literally feels like things are playing out in slow motion, at least it's better animated than the other two battles, and it's certainly a lot more dynamic and spectacular. Since not only does it feature 6 Pokemon total, including Roy's new Lucario, but it also features Mega Evolution and the astounding display of what Laquaum is truly capable of when it powers up a Pokemon. Seeing Lucario and Sableye Mega Evolve is undeniably cool, and seeing Slacking decimate the forest with a Laquaum boosted Hyper Beam is jaw-dropping. Heck, just seeing so many Pokemon working together to take down one big powerful Pokemon as if it's a raid battle is just amazing. Truly the most entertaining part of these two episodes by far. Better yet, it adds so much value to the story and characters for several reasons, giving it value beyond mere entertainment. First, it introduces us to what will be one of the key focal points of this arc, hunting down Pokemon affected by Laquaum. Second, it reveals that unlike Liko, Roy and Dot haven't changed too much, and what little they did change was for the better. They didn't get a reset either. If anything, they actually got an upgrade. Roy is noticeably more mature now. Still cheerful and energetic, but also more serious, composed, and cool-headed. No longer the foolhardy child he once was. Instead, he is calm under pressure and a lot more dependable. Dot, meanwhile, is the one who changed the least. She is mostly the same, and given her current setup, she definitely went back to her shut-in ways, meaning that perhaps she did get a bit of a reset. At least though, she is clearly more confident and commanding now, capable of expertly taking the lead and supporting others. Qualities she already had, but that are now far more apparent, and she is far more adept at them. The voice actors deserve a lot of credit too, including Liko's. They make the characters sound more mature while still sounding like themselves, helping to sell the fact that they have grown without leaving behind the defining characteristics that make them who they are. Also, it's nice to see that Dot's mother is as loving and dotting as ever. Yeah, I know that's not how you pronounce doting, but surely you get the pun I was going for. Third, this part of the episode also serves to introduce us to two new characters, Roy's shiny Lucario and Roy's rival, Uruto. Like I said a couple of videos ago, Roy suddenly having a shiny Lucario with no explanation is difficult to swallow. I just cannot readily accept that something so significant happened off screen and we are not told anything about it. Like, it seems we are supposed to just roll with it, which is something I simply cannot do. As cool as it is to see a shiny Lucario, especially a shiny Mega Lucario, in action under the ownership of a main character, I unfortunately cannot be happy about it. Having a character show up after a time skip or something similar with something crazy and game-changing they didn't have before without telling us the how, when, where, and why just feels like bad storytelling, which goes against one of the many strengths this series has. Like, even Liko and Anne see Roy with a Lucario, and while they make note of it, they don't really seem surprised, nor do they question him about it. Even they just accept it with no explanation required. I seriously hope that at some point, they will tell us via a flashback the story behind Roy and his Lucario. Until then, it will continue to rub me the wrong way because I just don't know if he did enough to be worthy of attaining such a special and powerful Pokemon. And speaking of special, him linking up with Lucario via Aura, which allows them to battle as one, looks oh so familiar. I wonder why. Now yeah, Lucario is the Aura Pokemon, but still. Roy suddenly being able to do something Ash was only able to do after spending considerable time and effort just feels wrong. Not saying that Roy didn't do the same, but it was off screen, so again, I cannot just accept it. The fact that they have access to Mega Evolution is almost as baffling. But I can let it slide a little bit more because again, Roy said that he spent some time training in Kalos, which does give us at least something to go on. As for Uruto, well, my first impressions are that he is annoying and obnoxiously loud. He is the classic brat character, always screaming, always thinking that they are the greatest thing ever, and almost always being the butt of all jokes. It's like Roy is screaming less and being less reckless now, so we need someone to make up for this. The fact that even Roy ignores him and leaves him behind reinforces that clearly Uruto is meant to get on your nerves. But hey, at least we finally have an official rival in this series. And the fact that he has a Sableye that can Mega Evolve is cool. I just hope that he can keep his antics to a minimum, lest he becomes absolutely insufferable. Finally, this part of the episode reveals yet another one of the focal points of this arc, finding Rayquaza again. So just like every previous arc, yeah, this is not as much of a new chapter as I thought. Though since Rayquaza is now a wild Pokemon, Roy can actually, for real, catch it this time. If he does, and he likely will, I hope that I will be able to accept it, as in, they will make me feel that Roy earned and deserves it. Aging him up and making him more mature and dependable is a step in the right direction. Also, Uruto wants to catch Rayquaza too, which kinda bothers me because it feels like he is just trying to hop on the bandwagon. He is trying to steal someone else's dream. However, since like Lucario, we have no idea how, when, where, and why Roy met him, or what they've been through together, we don't know if maybe there is a significant reason why Uruto is after Rayquaza as well. Therefore, it's too soon to cast judgment on his goal and his motives. So I'll give him a pass for now. Lastly, these two episodes provide us with an update for the movesets of two Pokemon. Kilowattrel learned Electro Ball, which is cool, and Meowscarada still knows Magical Leaf despite learning Flower Trick, which goes against what I predicted and is also unusual, since this means that she now knows two offensive Grass-type moves, taking away some variety from her move pool. Given that she uses acrobatics during the battle with Roy, and I doubt she would give up her only Dark-type move, she probably lost Quick Attack when she learned the Flower Trick. I guess that since Quick Attack and Acrobatics both provide mobility, she doesn't need them both. Meanwhile, Magical Leaf is a far more direct attack than Flower Trick, especially given how she uses the latter more to distract, deceive, and trick. Perhaps her updated moveset is not so unusual. So overall, these 2 episodes were alright. While Mega Voltage marks the beginning of an exciting new chapter for Pokemon Horizons, its debut leaves a lot to be desired. It is certainly not the thrilling and bombastic start I was hoping for. The emotional realism behind Liko's temporary regression is compelling and well-founded, but its abruptness makes it feel like her hard-earned growth was tossed aside. Add to that several unanswered questions, especially surrounding Roy's Lucario, and the stiff animation, sluggish pacing, and underwhelming nature of 2 of the 3 battles, and it's difficult not to feel disappointed. Still, there are glimmers of greatness that manage to shine through, like Ant's amazing progress, the incredible growth of Roy and Dot, Meowscarada's clever and creative tactics during the battle with Roy, the awesome battle against Slacking, and the several key moments like Slacking's rampage and the clear hatred towards the Rising Bolt Tacklers, which hint at the future of this arc. All of these manage to rescue these 2 episodes from the brink of failure. Still, they cannot change the fact that this new arc unfortunately stumbles out of the gate. I can only hope that this is not a sign of the level of quality we can expect from this arc going forward. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more like it, feel free to click the links on screen. And if you'd like to support the channel and help me keep making content like this, you can find ways to do so in the description below. Your support truly means the world to me. Thank you so much for watching, and let's meet again in the next video.